Good evening, St. Louis, and welcome into City Central Postgame. I'm Matthew Rocchio, live from Energizer Park. That is Grant Salsman from an undisclosed location in St. Louis, and we are here on STL Sports Central to talk about an unfortunate another loss for St. Louis City SC. This time it's 3-2 to the Houston Dynamo. This one really a tale of two games, one in the last 20 minutes and the first 70 minutes. And I think off the rip, Grant, we have to talk about the first 70 minutes, a very disappointing night down at Energizer Park to start this game.
Yeah, a very disappointing night. I think of that first Dynamo goal. Up to that, it was all St. Louis City. I mean, St. Louis really controlled the possession, controlled the flow of the game, and then boom, counterattack goal. It was a little bit of the same way for Dynamo's second goal. It just there was a lot of possession, and I would say the opening 30 minutes or so, but no, it didn't feel like a rhyme or reason was actually happening with when City went forward. Yes, the build-up play was nice. You would get to the final third, and then it felt like things kind of fell apart a little bit in the final third. Then they lost the way almost. Like things were not correlating. I think that's the disappointing part. Was it the second goal on the counter that was crossed in and just kind of tapped in? That given as the own goal? That's just, it's inexcusable. That is a awful. I mean, that is high school level goal to give up. I don't even think I'm being over dramatic there. That St. Louis City should never give up a goal like that. A professional soccer team should not give up goals like that. There was 3 defenders, 1 attacker. It's really bad.
Yeah, and a lot of things you said there, you could say have been the case across this entire season, and that's why they continually play bad games. Yeah, if you look at some of the stats in the first half, it's not going to look that bad of a game. They had 65% possession or something along those lines in the first half. City never does that. That's pretty rare for them. But it didn't mean anything. And if you asked anybody who was winning this game after the first half, obviously the score would say one team. But, I mean, Houston was able to pass through the defense pretty easily. If City converts their one big chance, which was Klaus's bad miss, which was a beautiful pass from Löwen, a beautiful cross from Songbin, and then Klaus just can't put it on net. He had space to settle it down and get one more touch on it, but he's got the defenders right there on his shoulder. He thinks he doesn't have the space when he did, and he puts it wide. That was the one chance City had. Houston buried their chance, but even though they had 25%, 35% possession, at no point did the 60% possession in the first half feel like it was going to turn into anything positive for St. Louis City, and that's been a huge problem. To your point, they can get the ball in the final third, but nothing happens when they do that. Eggplant emoji jumping into the chat, and please do jump into the chat here on STL Sports Central. An official own goal and another that might well have been thanks to the $3.6 million man. This team is not talented enough to overcome giving away multiple goals. And that's exactly what they did. And you showed, hey, they can score 2 goals against a Houston team that's not very good, but too little and far too late.
Yeah, far too late. I mean, if you look at the numbers here, if you didn't watch the game, you'd think, man, City got, they played really well.
Those numbers are lying.
Right there. And the saying numbers don't lie. They are here. 59% possession for City. They out XG them, more shots, same amount of big chances, but it was pretty brutal up until that last 10 minutes or so. I mean, it was just those numbers are lying because Dynamo was in firm control of this game the entire game.
I mean, we're talking about a team that was getting booed at home after that third goal.
Yeah.
And the third goal is bad. Falu Fall makes a bad mistake. That happens. He still should have been starting this game. We're doing this early because I'm hoping to actually get into the David Critchley's presser here in the next 20 minutes or so to try to ask him, why Fall was coming off the bench again in this matchup. And yeah, he did make a mistake, but I don't think that has anything to do with his actual talent level and the fact that he could have been an impact player earlier on in the game. Maybe he gets his head on that first cross that Timo Baumgartel can't, and Timo Baumgartel gets beat bad by Ezekiel Ponce on that play. Maybe Falu Fall is able to make that play. Sure, maybe Baumgartel's still in the game. He doesn't make the mistake that Fall makes, but I think those trade-offs is one you take. Fall making the play, and then the risk that he has that missed pass. I don't want to get caught up into that. The team wasn't good enough, and that's become far too common of something we're saying here in the post games.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. I mean, the comment that they're not good enough to come back down 2-0, and they're certainly not good enough to miss chances like João Klaus missed in the first half. That is You have to score that. There wasn't a lot
Yeah.
of excuse to
But
not score
for
that.
me, the issue is you only created one big chance.
Yes,
Yes, you have to put away your big chances, but this offense has to be better than just creating one big chance every half. And in a lot of ways, that's good enough if you're a 12th ranked team like Houston. That's all they did, but they put their chances away. You need to be better, or else you're playing on these slim margins. And I mean, look at Houston. Houston's not a good team. They won today because of an own goal and a bad defensive play by Falou Fall. Like, those aren't huge plays in favor of Houston, but you're showing that when you don't have a lot of talent and you're not a very good team, if you let things slip, if you let the easy things go by you, you will lose games more often than not. And that's why they're not just 12th that's why they're not in the middle of the pack like Houston is. They're at the bottom of their conference because they make every mistake possible. To Sam Delgado's point, relocate the team. Kakau says sell the team. I think those might be a little bit extreme. Ownership's trying to make some changes, clearly, to win some more soccer games. It's not working. It didn't work tonight. I'm sure somewhere in St. Louis, Lips Fonenstiel was watching this game. It didn't work, and they're going to have to make a lot of changes to get to 2026. One way you can get to 2026 a little bit easier is playing Falou Fall all the time, in my opinion. Another way that it might make 2026 easier is continue to play Makai Joyner, who on his 19th birthday scores his first ever MLS goal, part of the comeback that wasn't to be for St. Louis City SC late in the game. Makai Joyner got a couple chances. One of them was a diving header that he almost put in, and then a few minutes later, he raises up and puts in the header for his first ever goal. Those are the kind of things that should give you some positivity looking towards the future of this franchise.
Yeah, I'm excited with him down that flank. He had a lot of good crosses. I think it was right at the end there, the bouncing ball kind of bounced to him weirdly. He didn't hold possession. Then he made a great slide tackle. Got possession back for City. They didn't end up doing anything with it. I think it was in like the 7th minute of stoppage time. But it's bad, Rock, when you I'm looking at FOTMOP here at the starting lineup, and there's only one player in the green for their player rating. I know those don't mean everything, but the only starter was Löwen that was in the green. Joyner and Fletcher and Bolton all with good ratings there. But it's just the subs to David Critchley's credit were incredible. I mean, they switched that game around, almost got him back in the game. Point that would have been, and João Klaus had another chance. It was a great save. That was. It went from missing a golden chance earlier in the first half to where if he would have put that away, that would have been an unbelievable goal from João Klaus.
And the problem, though, is that we're talking about the play that would have saved the tie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just if that's where we're at. It's kind of like it's kind of like last week in Vancouver. I know people are. It's unfair. But we are bitching about the difference between a point and no points instead of talking about 3 points and 1 point. That's what I'm okay with making an argument and getting hung up on plays like that. This is talking about saving 1 point. It would have been nice, but I'm not gonna get too caught up in those moments. Kakau says Sporting got a new coach after a shit start, and they could make a playoff spot. They are miles ahead of us. You are 1 year late on that comment because that's what happened last year with Sporting Kansas City, and they suck this year as well. St. Louis City SC is not better, but maybe not the team that's just above them in the standings as the comparison. They need to be better than Sporting Kansas City. That's for damn sure, and that's why we say watch St. Louis City 2 on this channel because they walloped the living daylights out of Sporting KC2 yesterday. So we'll keep rolling with City 2. That's why we're going to talk a lot about Makai's goal tonight.
Yeah. It's just to your point of the complaining about a point at this stage, like if you're not winning it doesn't really matter. Okay. But there was no, like if you would have told me they scored in the 86th and 89th minute before the game, it would be, that better be to win the game. I mean, to the way they played to score 2 goals late, it should have been the 3rd or 4th goal that St. Louis City had. They created enough chances to take advantage of that. But the problem is outside of that Klaus chance and maybe one more in the first half, really in the first 80 minutes, there wasn't a lot of inspiring spurts of play. Yeah,
I mean, they were getting dominated in the second half. Up until the goal by Edu and things started really kicking off in the last 15 minutes, they had produced 0.03 XG in the second half. And that's pathetic. They actually did out XG the Houston Dynamo in the second half. But up until that point, they were looking at their 6th straight game of getting outplayed handily in the second half. And they turned that around. They technically won the second half, if you will. But again, it didn't matter. You were playing for a tie, and that's not good enough. St. Louis City has to not just win the first 40 minutes like they were able to at times today. They have to play full 90s. And we kind of hit a breaking point in like late May, early June about this team, talking about full 90s. And at no point from then have we seen a full 90 from St. Louis City SC. Maybe a borderline one a few weeks ago against Nashville, but even that, I think you can point out and say that there were still too many issues and cracks with this team, and you continually saw it today. It doesn't matter how many good 20-minute moments they have if the first 70 minutes are bad. It doesn't matter. You can take those things for later, like the Mackay goal and things like that. But in the moment, in these post games right now, that doesn't matter to the fans, and I don't blame them, for wanting to focus on the things that do, which is another 3-2 loss.
Yeah, I mean, could you argue maybe it was only a 10-minute good span? I mean, before the Löwen goal, which was incredible, by the way, it was Vetcher who had the pass too. That was brilliant, and then a great volley. There was not a lot of positive momentum from a team that was down 3-0 before that, and obviously that kind of spurred the team on, led to the Joyner goal, but it was just pretty bleak for a team down 3 goals before that.
And it's just Houston's controlling the game. Houston's dribbling past you. They're pinning them back. They're just sitting on possession. They're creating moment after moment after moment. It wasn't as bad as the overall Vancouver game when you talk about how much the defense was letting up. I mean, Vancouver put up like 3.4 XG in the open play. Houston barely cracked 1.5. But it was still too many chances through the midfield where you're just getting dribbled right past, dribbled right through. And that's the problem with St. Louis City. There's too many moments in this game where Löwen and Morales are sitting in the middle and they step forward to like man mark 2 players, and Houston really simply just slips the guy in behind them, and all of a sudden there's a man with the ball in between the 2 lines. It's too easy to play against St. Louis City. That say what you will about them from the start in 2023. Yeah, sure, they got lucky. You can say that. I would disagree. They were playing a heavy style and they were playing it well, but they were hard to play against one way or another until the playoffs hit. And at no point over the last 2 years have they been hard to play against, and that's a huge problem.
No, I mean, I thought there was a lot of ball watching. It was, oh, look, we have possession, especially that led to that first goal. It was, oh, great, look, we're doing so well in possession, then boom, like that. The first 2 goals were counterattacks that were easily preventable and were because of people watching. Barth, Missouri. Good evening. My name is Jose. I am from Kansas City. I don't like T-Ravs, Hedgers, or Provell. I'm a Royals fan. Orta was safe. Stan Kroenke was absolutely correct. So he's just trying to get us while we're down there, Rocchio.
Yeah, but the problem is like, okay, here's the thing. If you like I don't care if you want to do that, just fine. Like, you got to come with something a little clever, with some ingenuity, and also just don't be like factually like just moronic about it. I mean, listen, you can say you don't like T-Ravs, you're lying. You like fried food. You can say you don't like Ted Drews, you're lying. Everyone likes ice cream. Yeah, fine, you don't like Provell, that's fair. Orta wasn't safe. That's a fact. Like, you can go back and look at the video. Orta wasn't safe. Don Jenkins is a monster, and so is Stanley Kroenke. So if you want to continually be on the side of Satan and wrongness, you can do that. You're from Kansas City. That's your specialty. So I'm not surprised by this. Independence, Missouri is apparently where profits go to. I think it's where devils come out of. And so you can be like that. But here's the thing: there's not a lot of St. Louis City fans who are in a Kansas City chat right now making fun of you guys for sucking. They're worrying about their own team being bad, which you might want to spend a few minutes on. Eggplant emoji jumping in the chat as well. Given the dollars invested, center back should be a strength of the team, and it was their greatest weakness yet again. Well, part of the problem is when you don't play one of the players for the first half of the game, that can be a little problematic. And Henry Kessler had a bad moment on what was the own goal. Henry Kessler, in my opinion, I could be being too harsh here, but Henry Kessler's ball watching the cross the entire time. At no point does he check where Ponce is. I know he knows Ponce's on his shoulder, but if your head is just completely on the ball, and Ponce's behind you, Ponce has control of the play because if they short the cross, Ponce can jump and take it. If the cross goes long, Ponce is going to be able to read it, collect it, and now he's one-on-one versus Henry Kessler. Henry Kessler did not have a good moment in that play, but I really do think that there's a lot of reasons, and we've seen them, to be at least positive about the center back pairing once they actually get together and play a full game.
I agree with you, and not starting fall is puzzling because if we're looking at comparing it, the Cardinals have this runway. Why are you not giving runway to one of your youngest players? I don't care if, and I'll be curious what David Critchley says to you when you go ask what the reason was. If he says it was a bad matchup, it doesn't matter. Everything's a bad matchup for St. Louis City right now. Like, it doesn't matter. If I just am puzzled by the decision not to start your young up-and-coming center back that you just went and spent, what, 3 point something
$3+ million, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's an odd move, and again, I think we have enough tape. I think we have enough reasons to be excited about those positions, but right now it's hard to be excited because they aren't playing up to snuff. What is up to snuff though is our good friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, where the crown is yours. Missouri, it's time to get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300. That's 3 C-Notes, 3 Benjamins, $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when we go live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. I should know. I was over on the Illinois side today, and I was on that app. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. I don't know as much about that after my plays today. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code right there on your screen, STL Sports, to grab, again, $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when they go live on December 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Just the final few minutes here. Grant Salsman, as they have started the post-game presser down the hall. Not a lot to be positive about again, but Mekhi Joyner gets his first goal on his birthday. Go back, check out STL Sports Central. We just dropped a podcast with him yesterday with Mekhi Joyner interview. He talks about coming up onto the first team, who his favorite players are. If you're a soccer fan, you'll hear names like Lamine Yamal and Leroy Sané, which is a lot of fun to hear a young player talk about other great young players. Heck, we even talked about the vertical, and you saw the vertical play out tonight with the goal scored. I think it's going to be a lot of fun with Mekhi going forward.
I was out there when you were doing it. It would sound like a great interview. Definitely would go check it out, and especially he gets a goal. He's going to be a mainstay in the St. Louis City team for the next 4 or 5 years. So get to know him now. Hopefully.
Yeah, unless he's off to Europe for a pretty big price tag before that. And after scoring a goal on his 19th birthday, that certainly could be the path for young Bloomington native Mekhi Joyner. He scores tonight. Edu Löwen gets one, but it's not enough as St. Louis City is thoroughly outplayed in the first 70 minutes of this game, and they fall 3-2 to the Houston Dynamo for another loss. They are still second to last place in the Western Conference, with other teams creeping up. It is not great right now for the St. Louis City SC squad. In fact, if we're talking about the conference standings right now in MLS, we look at the West. The St. Louis City is sitting at, after tonight, they're sitting at 21 points. LA Galaxy are at 19 points. So still a chance to take that ignominious wooden spoon for St. Louis City at the end of this year. That will wrap up today's City Central postgame. For Grant Salsman, I'm Matthew Rocchio. This has been this postgame on STL Sports Central. Do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell button so you know whenever we're going live. We have Mizzou starting up now, so we're going to go live after all the Mizzou games. In the future, we also have Illinois post games going. You learned that last night as they had a big win over the Leathernecks. And coming up soon, we'll have Billikens live. And, of course, Blues coming up soon. Cam Jansen, former Blue, was in the chat a little bit early as well. So you know we got that Blues coverage coming for you right here on STL Sports Central. Again, for Grant Salsman, I'm Matthew Rocchio. This has been the City Central postgame on STL Sports Central. Have a great night, St. Louis.